Greetings everyone, and welcome back to RP Genesis. It's June, which means a lot of different things. One of those things is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, I'm not going to go into the politics of the stigma behind men's mental health or how we should be paying more attention to it or anything like that. This video is simply me wanting to say something about my own mental health. Now, if you have been following me for even just a short time, you know that not long ago, I had to take some time away from YouTube and anything that I could describe as work because I was not doing great, because I have some serious mental health problems which can get overwhelming at times. I wanted to make this video because sometimes people just need to hear something nice. And I wanted to share with you all my mental health issues and how TTRPGs have been one of the things that have helped me cope with my problems. Now, because this is a very important subject, I will be reading off a script and I will be looking off camera a lot like this. So apologies if that looks unprofessional, but I do struggle to get my point across sometimes, and I want to try and make this as accurate as possible. So apologies for the unprofessionalism, but this is important and I want to try and get it as accurate as I can. Now, before we get into it, there's one thing I want to make perfectly clear. This is not a video which is like one of those articles where RPGs cured my depression, because I and many others hate those sort of articles because they are, whether the writer realizes it or not, misinformative about how mental health works. In reality, those articles are written by people who don't suffer with mental health issues. How can I say this? For long term. And while I am not invalidating their experiences with mental health, the easy way to describe those articles is someone was suffering from short-term depression at most, or was sad at the very least, and did something to cheer them up. These articles, again, whether or not the writer realizes it or not, are harmful and misinformative, and some people will look at those and take it to be RPGs are a good alternative for professional help and medication, which in itself is also very harmful. Also, I will only be speaking for my experience, as I can only speak for me. So, if you are wanting to try RPGs just to try and cheer yourself up because you are suffering with something similar, go for it. But I am not saying at all that they are a cure. I am only speaking from my experience. Now, with that rant out the way, let's get started. So a while ago, I appeared on the podcast that my friend Finn owns called Path to Publication. And on that episode, we spoke about how writing can be used as a way to ease the struggles that come with mental illness, but also as a way to vent frustrations related to them, and in one way or another, a source of inspiration. You'll know where to find the link if you want to go and give that a listen. I wanted to try and expand a bit more on what I did say in that episode, hence this video. So I suffer from quite a few problems, some of which are made worse by the other problems. I have Asperger's, but I also have flashbacks related to PTSD, chronic depression, an emotional disorder, social anxiety, consistent suicidal thoughts, a deep-rooted self-hatred, which all contribute in one way or another to making each other worse, or to other problems like constant pessimism, self-harm, and to what is to date, 11 suicide attempts. Now, years ago, in my teens and my 20s, these problems were much worse. I never smiled, I was too scared to speak, the flashbacks were always on my mind. I had undiagnosed Asperger's at the time, so I wasn't getting the help I needed. And I was self-harming multiple times a day, which was getting increasingly worse. I never wanted to leave the house because I felt so alone and isolated from society, because I just felt like a freak that people didn't like having around. Now, I know that was quite a lot to reveal at once, but I wanted you to get an idea of just how bad it is and was for me, so I can explain how TTRPGs have helped me cope, not cure, cope with the issues I've got. I'm 34 now at the time of this recording, but when I was 24, I took what was the first step into trying a new hobby unaware of just how much of an impact it would have on my life. A friend of mine invited me to go to a game shop, which hosted board game nights. While I was there, I did meet a few people through my friends who were also into board games, and as a result, it expanded my circle of friends just a little bit. The board game nights became a regular part of my routine because it was an environment where people who liked the same things as me were hanging out, and it felt easier to go to a place like that. Things like nightclubs, pubs, football grounds, things like that, just wasn't my thing. But I did go to those sort of things to try and keep my friends happy, but in doing so, I wasn't feeling safe, essentially. One night, I did learn that someone who was at the board game nights was also hosting RPGs for people to play, and he was doing that on another day. It took me a while to build the courage to go to one of these nights, because I would be doing it by myself, and I was worried that the people here wouldn't like me because I view myself as nothing more than an annoying creature that only makes people miserable. Eventually, I did get the courage to decide to go and give it a try. There I met a man named Lewis, who helped me get started with a character, and we played D&D with a group which I was surprised to find quite welcoming, because the norm was that, I'm an annoyance, I'm a freak, people bully me, kind of thing. So playing with this group, I had a lot of fun, and I wanted to go again. But my anxiety and PSD meant that I came away from the session, even though I was a little on a emotional high from enjoying myself, the anxiety was making me think the thoughts of, yeah, well, that was fun, but how are you going to screw this up? How are you going to offend someone by accident? Who in that group is going to hate you because you are you? Despite that, I did find the courage once again to go back the following week and keep playing. As I kept playing, my courage, as it were, started growing, and my issues were still there, but they weren't being presented as much. My circle of friends once again increased, and I learned that a lot of people I was making connections with were also neurodivergent in some manner, which made me feel a bit more how can I say this? Well, safer, yes, but also like there was somewhere I belonged, for once. Because of my issues, I grew up all the way through high school very lonely. I was bullied by a lot of people, and most of my friends were teachers. One of those kids. Any friends I did have who were of a similar age to me either stopped being my friend because it wasn't cool to be friends with Zach and it damaged high school reputation, or I was abused and taken advantage of in several ways. So I never felt like I fit in anywhere, and I didn't deserve friends because most people hated me and I was the common denominator in those situations. So the problem was, and in how I feel to this day, still is me. At these games though, I felt safe-er, but not completely safe. All the while, my fears of ruining this new situation still pecked away at my head. And unfortunately, they ended up being right. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this, but two of the group members grew to dislike me because of my issues. My issues were starting to upset them, even though they themselves did have some issues which they did share with me to a degree. They were the kind of people who acted as if I should be told once to stop it, and then magically, these mental health issues just go away. Eventually, they got so sick of me that they managed to convince my girlfriend at the time to dump me because I wasn't worth anyone's time or trouble, in their eyes, and then eventually hers. I can tell you that that did hurt a lot, and to this day, I'm still convinced that this is the case. I am still a problem, a burden, and just a nuisance to everyone I know. You ask anyone who does know me personally, they will say, no, he's not like that, we really like him, he's a good friend and all that stuff. But with the way I feel about myself and my issues, while I do believe they are sincere in what they say, I just feel as though they're mistaken because I can see a side of me that they can't see. That's how it feels. Now, those two people and my girlfriend did leave Lewis's group. However, Lewis was still running games and was still willing to let me play in the group because Lewis didn't see a problem with me, basically. And in that time, and during that time rather, when I was playing the games with Lewis and that group support, I did get through that very heavy part of my life, even if I did come out a little worse on the other side. And of course, there have been positive and negative experiences that have come through RPGs, but by playing RPGs with an increasing number of new people, I have found more comfort rather than displeasure, I am happy to say, in these experiences and the people I've met. Since then though, I have been hooked on RPGs. Being able to get involved and make a story with friends and help make some memorable moments and exploring the mechanics of all these different RPGs that weren't D&D, it is a lot of fun for me, and creating all these characters and writing all these stories to try and entertain people with is one of the best things I feel like I've ever done with my life. When I do stand at the end of the table and I'm DMing, even though I can't convince myself that I'm doing a good job, when I see their faces lighting up because of a plot twist, or because they've managed to achieve something very hard in the game, or meeting a character they really like, or just because they're mesmerized by the story I'm telling, it's really uplifting, and for just a brief moment I can convince myself that I am finally making people happy, which is all I've ever wanted to do with my life. I've wanted to be an entertainer, I've wanted to make people happy, because we live, essentially, in a broken world, and you can either make it worse or you can be part of the glue that brings it back together. And I want to be part of the glue, and I want to be someone who makes people laugh and makes people smile and makes people forget their problems, even if it's just for 5 minutes, because we all need something like that in the world we live in today. Now, playing RPGs and creating RPGs hasn't eased everything I suffer with. My self-hatred and flashbacks have gotten worse over time, but that's only because more negative experiences have contributed to those, because that's just how life goes. But coping with them has gotten easier because of the escapism that I find in RPGs and entertaining my friends. My social anxiety has also gotten a little better over the years, but not by much, and it is still pretty bad. I can't talk to a complete stranger, and Slug, my wife in the Discord, often has to come outside with me if we're going somewhere like a doctor's appointment or the bank or wherever it is we need to go, because she does the talking and I'm just there. If I have to make a phone call to a complete stranger, like trying to find where an order is or something like that, I will be freaking out the entire time because I'm talking to a stranger on the phone and I literally just sit there really tense and, oh god, what do I say? What do I do? Basically. But on the other hand, if I meet someone new and this person goes, hey, do you like RPGs? Do you like video games? Do you like this? Do you like that? And it is something that I do like, I find it easier to talk to this person because it sort of breaks the wall down a little bit. And I'm like, oh, this person likes something I like. I've got something I can talk about. And when I'm sat around a table of strangers, either playing or DMing for them, while I still get nervous and anxious, I remember that these people also want to sit around and pretend to be a superhero who uses bananas as boomerangs, an elf that thinks he's a cat, or whatever crazy character they come up with to play in this world, and create a story together. This environment makes it easier for me to get involved, and as time goes on, I can do it with almost no problem. I still get worried that I am ruining the game in some fashion, and I'm not doing a good job entertaining my players as a DM, or a lot of the time that I'm potentially making the game worse as a problem player. But years ago, if you asked me to do any of this, it would never happen, ever. They do say that laughter is the best medicine, and I've certainly had a lot of it playing with some great people I've met over the years being a part of this community. It does help raise my mood, which in turn reduces the impact that my issues have on me overall. I've become more focused, I am less anxious playing games, I'm more motivated to create, and it's fantastic feeling like this. It has helped me find the courage to work with Slug to build our small and loving community. I never would have guessed that I could ever be where I am now because of RPGs, and because of the people I would meet through them. Everyone I've met over the years, and even the people in the Discord. I hold a lot of them in high regard, and in my mind, I owe them a debt I can't ever repay. But, like I said, I don't want to try and end this video with a negative note, but like I said at the start of the video, they are not a cure, and I am not cured at all. I am far from it. These issues that I've got are going to be lifelong in my situation, and they don't stay at the same level of severity every day. Sometimes, nothing helps at all. Sometimes, it is tolerable, but still pretty bad. And sometimes, I am that distracted that I'm just a little bit happy all day. So if I could summarize this video into an analogy. Imagine you're cutting some wood with a buzzsaw, and you cut your finger off. So then you go to the doctor, but it's too late for your finger to be saved. So you put on the bandages, you clean it, and you administer treatment. You may have helped it heal, but your finger is never coming back. That's kind of how it is with the mental health. So basically, for me, it's like I have this lifelong problem, which is mental health, but going to see professionals, hanging around with friends and getting medication I need to assist me, and RPGs have all contributed to making it feel better. Even though it is something that's never going to go away. But the long and short of it, mental health is just as important as physical health. If you are struggling, regardless of it being Men's Mental Health Month or not, reach out for help. It's not weak and it's not cowardly, despite what some of the most weak men on the planet will tell you. If you know someone who is struggling, ask how you can help them. Also remember to find time for you to do the things you like to enjoy. Football, watching films, art, watching wrestling, performing wrestling, doing sports, writing, whatever it is you like to do. Find time to do it, and remember to show yourself some love doing nice things for yourself from time to time. While I may never get rid of my issues completely, the fact I have found something I can enjoy from what seems to be an unlikely source is something that I am very thankful for. Thanks for watching, everyone. Look after yourselves, and remember to keep on rolling.